Today's law enforcement officer is society's best defense against crime, dissent, and disorder. The modern policeman knows that crime lurks all around us, always and everywhere. These are the people of your city, but they are also your adversaries. Many have committed crimes that have yet to be imagined or discovered. Although the others may seem innocent, inside the soul of every citizen lurks the heart of a criminal waiting to be unleashed upon society. As an officer of the law, your job is to find that criminal element and crush it with authority and brutal swiftness. You act not just as an enforcer of the law, but as an enforcer of the people, a watchdog constantly on guard for miscreants and misbehavior. Our American values of freedom and liberty are worth nothing if they are not supported by an aggressive, fearsome army of public soldiers, especially those who employ modern police techniques. Enforcement of the law in the home is of the utmost importance to any modern police force. Checks on homes and their occupants must be carried out with regularity, randomness, and reckless abandon. As citizens are at constant risk of infringing upon our laws and damaging the reputation of the police, it is vitally important for officers to enter homes of the people to perform searches and seizures of any materials that they believe to be troublesome or potentially criminal in any way. This proactive approach serves a second purpose, which is to keep citizens continuously aware that the long arm of the law does not end at their front door. Some citizens will complain that a warrant is needed before you may search the home. However, warrants require you to fill out endless paperwork, track down a judge, and persuade him to sign. Who needs that aggravation? The warrant process wastes valuable time that you could be spending elsewhere. Remember, your badge is the only warrant you need. It allows you to act with swiftness and force to uncover evidence of crime and stop troublemakers in their tracks. Here's a handy technique that helps you get your foot in the door, literally. Approach the home, knock on the front door, and begin your conversation in a combative, authoritative tone that instantly conveys that you mean business. This transforms what is known as a consensual encounter into a situation in which the resident becomes frightened and passive enough for you to effect forceful entry. If resistance is encountered, overcome it with a show of force and arrest the resident for attempting to interfere with your solemn duties. Once inside, the home becomes your own evidence laboratory. Your challenge is to find or create the evidence needed to make an arrest. Only by meticulously searching every possession inside the home may an officer obtain evidence that crime is occurring or could possibly occur someday. It can be found or created in the most unusual places, so take nothing for granted. This requires diligence, persistence, and precise attention to detail. It is important to ensure that all members of the household sit quietly without interruption while you perform your duty. Unpleasant, disagreeable residents only cause trouble and prevent you from completing your mission. Using physical force is always warranted when residents of a home fail to heed your commands and pay you the respect that you deserve. And let's not forget man's best friend and criminal's worst enemy, the police dog. Modern officers employ canine units for a variety of detection, enforcement, and intimidation purposes. Can't find the evidence you need? Let Rover loose in the house and consider anything that he finds to be definitive evidence of crime. If he can't find what you need, well, it's always easy to say that he did. Out on the streets of your city walk the criminals of today and tomorrow. Today's effective police officer recognizes that all citizens are potential criminals who can be brought to justice with an ounce of prevention mixed with a pound of enforcement. The key to stopping crime before it starts is to detect criminals on the streets hiding in plain sight. This can be anyone, a salesman, a lawyer, even a minister. Don't let that collar fool you. Any citizen who raises your suspicion can be searched at any time with no warning, no warrant, and no mercy. First, approach the suspect and announce yourself as a police officer with a forceful and authoritative tone. This will often scare the suspect into submission, allowing you to more easily effect your search of the person. You may find that some of these potential criminals act in unpleasant and discourteous manners. This should not be tolerated. Criminals on the street must remain passive, quiet, and cooperative at all times. For this reason, any use of force is justified in getting you the respect that you deserve. The billy club or nightstick is perhaps the modern officer's best friend. It is highly effective at enforcing order and silencing your enemies. A responsible and conscientious officer always performs a comprehensive search of the potential criminal. The frisk is your best chance to uncover illegal items or contraband on a person. Any item that seems suspicious or could possibly be used to commit a crime is to be treated as evidence of that crime, regardless of whether it has occurred. When in doubt, arrest first and ask questions later. To allow your suspect to walk free, you are missing an opportunity to nab citizens who may become criminals or have committed a crime somewhere at some time. A fleeing suspect is a guilty suspect. When you have a potential criminal in your clutches, you cannot let him get away. You have the power to stop him in his tracks. Use it. Automobiles, like the home, are receptacles for evidence of crime. Your challenge is to ensure that these mobile crime factories are discovered, searched, and dealt with properly. A proactive officer pulls any car to the side of the road, regardless of intent or evidence, for the purpose of executing a search of the automobile as well as its occupants. Many officers find that minor traffic violations serve as useful and handy means of initiating the search and seizure process. This motorist had exceeded the speed limit, or at least that's what the officer could claim. Nearly all drivers have violated some sort of traffic ordinance at some point in their lives, so the officer is merely short-circuiting the process. In fact, a violation is not strictly required. What matters most is that the officer takes initiative and action to begin the interrogation of drivers and occupants. Searching all areas of the passenger compartment of an automobile is critical. Be sure to look in glove compartments, under seats in wheel wells, or anywhere else that you might think a driver could have hidden some materials that you could consider suspicious. Can't find what you're looking for? No problem. Just keep the driver occupied until help arrives in the form of a drug-sniffing dog to locate the evidence that you know must be there. When the dog barks, you know you've hit the jackpot, regardless of whether the car carries any contraband. When in doubt, arrest. And when a suspect resists your authority, know that your reciprocal use of force is a justifiable application of the laws of your city, your state, and your country. Everyone knows that the First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution mentions the right of freedom of speech. However, this is not an absolute right, and it has important limitations. The right to free speech does not mean that disrespect and insolence must be universally tolerated. Freedom of expression is fine, but it is more important to preserve social order and to protect the dignity and honor of our public authorities. Here, a woman feels that her right to free speech is a license to insult the police department with outrageous accusations. She won't be making that mistake again. This suspicious character was stopped on the street. When the suspect questioned the officer's request for identification, he showed a level of disrespect for authority that exceeded the limits of his First Amendment rights. This young lady appears to harbor feelings of resentment after police selected her home for a random inspection. This newspaper editor tried to exploit the freedom of the press to publish an editorial criticizing the mayor and police commissioner. This is exactly the type of cauldron in which crime is cooked up and social unrest is born. Citizens have a basic right to free speech, but it's up to you to decide how, when, and where people can exercise this privilege. Today's modern and conscientious police officer, despite these techniques, may find himself unable to find direct evidence of a crime within the home or automobile. But the effective officer does not let this stop him. Through selective and secretive methods of evidence creation, any household or car can be turned into a hotbed of crime. The key to evidence creation is to ensure that the suspect is unaware of your furtive activity and that you select the most credible locations for evidence to appear. Wallets make exceptional locations for all sorts of evidence that you may wish to create. Drugs, obscene photographs, written materials, or anything else that you find suspicious can easily fit into a wallet if folded properly. Here, the officer places an unregistered handgun in an unsuspecting citizen's house after the suspect had wasted the officer's time with complaints about constitutional rights. This suspect will refrain from this behavior in the future. The illusion of surprise is the key to staging a credible discovery of evidence. A suspect who is convincingly confronted with the evidence that you have created will often express confusion, which can quickly be turned to feelings of self-doubt and guilt if the presentation is made effectively.
Good police work begins with you. Remember, anyone can be a criminal. Your job is to act with force to find or create the evidence to prove it. Civilians who are unwilling to accept and respect our authority must be dealt with swiftly and aggressively.
So the next time some potential criminal whines about their constitutional rights, remind them that you are the Constitution. You are the law. You will bring them to justice. Thank you.